What's up, scholars? I'm Brandon Bailey, and today we're going to go over Jekyll, the static website generator we're using in our apprenticeship class. Um, and we're going to talk about what it is, why it is what it is, and what exactly are we looking at when we open up that think it, build it, deploy it boilerplate. So if we go into that boilerplate after you downloaded it and opened it up in your local machine, you'll see at the project root directory, which is the the start of that file in that folder. You have a bunch of files and folders with underscore and then the name of them. We are here underscore config underscore config.yaml. We have underscore includes folder, underscore layouts folder, and then we have some other folders and files. We have assets folder and about.md. That's a markdown file. MD can also be spelled out markdown, and it's the same thing. We have an index.html file. That's your hypertext markup language default file, right? But let's start from the top. We got this config file. This is the most important file in Jekyll, if you ask me. And this is the file where you add all your configurations and like how you want to build your Jekyll site, any kind of specific environment variables you want to add, or all the important information of how you're going to run your Jekyll build and everything you want to include and tweak. This is where you really do it in your config.yaml file. We're going to go into it and talk about it in our class, so don't worry about it too much. You just know where it's at and why it's important. Now going forward, all these underscores, everything that has an underscore on it is going to be a part of the build process. So if you notice there, we got inputs, we got outputs, and then you got this right here, this Jekyll build process. This will be a transformation. So right here, the transformation will occur with the inputs, and then we'll have the output of this whole process being this underscore sites directory. So what's going on in the middle part, right? So what's going to happen is Jekyll's going to take all these files that have these underscores in front of them, and it's going to take those files and run them through a build process using Ruby. And Jekyll, the actual gem or library, it runs this process internally, well, in the command line, and also in GitHub pages when you deploy your website. But another instance is when you want to deploy your website to another hosting service or company. Say you want to put it on AWS, you have to do a build and then take that sites directory and deploy it to like S3 bucket, and configure it as a static website. And you will have to do other things for other providers of like a hosting service for your websites. But here with GitHub pages and GitHub, and another thing is Jekyll was created by GitHub, so it fits. They really thought it through. But yes, so those things right there make it of use and of value, and this is why I decided to learn Jekyll in the first place and really put this under my belt as my static website generator instead of like WordPress, which is a CMS, pretty heavyweight, or the other ones out there. We're not gonna get into the details. We'll talk about those later in class. But anyway, again, the most important file is the config.yaml file, and then everything that has an underscore is gonna be a part of the build process. If it doesn't have an underscore in front of it, like the index.html, this about.markdown, and this assets folder, they will just be copied over one-to-one and skip the transform, and it'll be copied into the site's subdirectory. So you have your about.md, you have your index.html, and then you'll have also your assets. And your assets are going to be your images, your CSS, your JavaScript libraries, and everything else that are necessary for the application to run. Includes and layouts would be defining certain components, and also like the general layout or different parts of your website, like the explicit header, explicit headed document, the footer, main content areas, and so forth. And the general layouts will have the general structure of the website. These files are pretty straightforward once you kind of get the hang of it, and we're gonna go deeper into it as we go through class. But I just want to make sure I gave you guys a quick rundown of what to kind of expect and how to make sense of, what the files that are inside of your project root directory. Once we go through this build process and you say Jekyllrb, your output will be inside your underscore sites directory. This directory is it's not an important directory in the stance that you don't keep it in version control. You usually clean it and get rid of it after you deployed it successfully and save your own disk space. It's just an output file from the build process after you made some changes to your website. You want to see those changes, or maybe you want to deploy your website to your production environment. And so we'll get into this a little bit more in the class, and you'll get hands-on this week with building your website and deploying it to GitHub pages, or to your GitHub repo and then GitHub pages. This is kind of like what you're doing here. So you're going to go through, have these files, these underscores are the ones that get mutated to some degree in the transformation of the build process. Files and directories without that underscore leading, they are going to be copied over one-to-one and just moved over to the sites directory, the underscore sites directory. This directory is what gets deployed to whatever web hosting services or providers you use. And that's kind of it in a nutshell. Again, we'll go over the layout of the libraries and the software during class and give you guys some hands-on experience. I know you guys have been waiting for that, so have I. So let's do it. And thanks a lot, and I'll see you guys on Saturday.